I've been exploring the world of desktop CNC machines for a little while now. There are tons out there with impressive features and specialized applications. But this one stood out for a different reason: the price. It's a CNC machine from Lunyee that costs just a little over $400 with a 10% discount code I'll leave in the description. At this price, I'm not expecting miracles, but I'm wondering if this could be a decent entry point into the world of desktop CNC. Today, I'm going to unbox it, put it together, and see how it performs from a beginner perspective. There's not a lot of content out there about this machine, so if you've been thinking about picking one up, maybe this video will help you decide whether it's worth it. Let's have a look at what's inside the box. Right on top, we got the manual. It's in English and a few other languages, which is always appreciated. Underneath, there's a connection chart showing how to set the machine up, either by connecting it to your computer or using the included offline controller. Next is a plastic container with all the screws you'll need for assembly. They've also included a few basic tools you need. These things are easy to lose track of, so it's nice everything is packed together. Then we have the motherboard, sealed in a light shielding plastic. It looks clean and well protected. Everything in this box is actually placed really neatly. The foam is cut to fit each part, so nothing's rattling around. That's usually a good sign that nothing has been damaged in shipping. Now the power supply. It's a pretty standard unit, but on the back there's a ruler. Not sure why it's there. Maybe it's a bonus measuring tool, or maybe it's part of the mounting alignment. Either way, we'll see later. Next up is the controller, also wrapped in anti-static plastic, and a set of cables to go with it. We'll have a closer look at that later. There's also a power cable, a quick stop safety switch, a collet for the bits, and some hold-down clamps for the base plate. You also get a few starter bits, a pack of cable ties, a small screwdriver, and even a little cleaning brush, which is a nice touch. At the bottom of the tray is a Z-axis probe, super handy if you're planning to run high-sensitive jobs or auto-zero the tool. Now the spindle motor. This one's 500 watts, which is honestly more power than I expected for this price point. Should be plenty for all kinds of wood, MDF, plastics, and even some metals. There's more foam, more cables, and here's a little bonus I added to the order: a bit kit. I needed some extra ball end mills for finishing passes on my designs, and it made sense to get them with the machine. Now we get to the big pieces. The top part of the CNC comes pre-assembled and includes both the X and Z-axis motors already mounted. That cuts down a lot on setup time. Underneath we got the base, also pre-assembled with the Y-axis motor in place. It's surprisingly solid for something this compact. And that's the full content of the box. A good number of parts, but with the motors and major components already mounted, this looks like a pretty beginner-friendly build. Let's jump into the assembly, step by step. First, I removed the protective foam that keeps the Y-axis from moving during shipping. It's nice to see that the moving parts were properly secured in the box. The manual is easy to follow, with clear illustrations and part references for each step. That's always a relief when you're building something with this many components. The first major step is connecting the two main parts of the machine, the gantry and the base. They align nicely when resting flat on the table, and once in place, they're held together with a lot of screws, so the frame should be nice and rigid once everything's tightened down. Next, it's time to attach the rubber feet. To do that, you need to carefully flip the whole machine onto its side. In hindsight, I'm not really sure why this step comes after joining the two big sections. Maybe it helps with alignment on the tabletop, but honestly, I'd probably reverse the order if I were doing it again. After that, I attached the limiters for the X-axis. The other limiters were already installed out of the box, which is a nice time saver. These limiters are basically safety switches. They tell the machine to stop if the spindle moves too far in any direction, helping prevent crashes or overdriving the motors. Next up is the quick stop switch. This is a standard push to stop, twist to reset emergency switch. Always good to have right within reach during operation. Then it's time to mount the spindle motor. The casing that holds it is a solid structure, but it does flex ever so slightly when you loosen or tighten the screws. It's designed that way so the spindle slides in with a snug fit. Once tightened down, it feels very secure. Finally, I installed a collet that holds the bit in place. Just drop it in, thread the nut back on, and that's it. It's ready to hold whatever you want to start with. Now, it's time to connect the brain of the machine, the motherboard. I actually really like the look of this open motherboard. It makes the whole process feel a bit more hands-on. almost like I'm doing some kind of advanced electronics project, without it actually being that complex. I imagine it wouldn't cost much for the manufacturer to include a simple case to close it off, so I'm guessing this was a conscious design decision. Maybe to keep it cool, maybe to keep costs low, or maybe to make it more accessible for troubleshooting or upgrades. Next up is the power supply, and this one does come in a closed case, thankfully. Feels solid and it screws on right next to the motherboard. From there, I connected the cables, nothing too complicated, especially with the chart in the manual and the color coding and naming directly on the motherboard and cables. Just follow the diagram, take your time, and it all comes together pretty smoothly. Everything's connected, and there's definitely some cable management ahead of me, but that'll have to wait. I want to see this thing in action. Let's power it up. Green light. Good sign. Only now I notice the color display on the controller. That's a nice surprise. The controller has the same open bare bones design as the motherboard, probably for the same reasons: accessibility, airflow, and cost savings. And honestly, it doesn't look bad. With the controller, you can manually move all the axes, set your 0 position, and prep your file. There's also inputs for a memory card and a USB stick, which is super handy if you want to run it without the computer. The machine comes with a 4GB memory card, so you're ready to go right out of the box. And now, finally, it's time to test the machine. For the first test, I decided to try one of the files that came preloaded on the memory card. It's called iPhone, so naturally I was curious. I secured a piece of wood to the base using the included clamps. I'll admit, I was a bit too eager and it took me a minute to figure them out properly, but once they were in place, I was good to go. Just to be safe, I ran the file once, with the bit raised up high, far above the material, just to make sure it cleared the clamps. Everything looked good, so I started the real cut. The machine did its job just fine, but it became pretty clear that I've used the wrong material for this particular design. The carving depth was under 1 millimeter, probably meant for aluminium or some kind of metal, like an iPhone. I feel a bit stupid now. On wood, with even slight surface unevenness, the result came out patchy and uneven. So, new plan. I switched to a file I had prepared earlier, my own logo. It's something I know works well on wood and plastics. A quick reclamp and we're off again. And this time it looks great. Clean lines, consistent depth, and way more satisfying to watch. To sum it up, the machine works. It's a fairly manual setup, no extra bells and whistles like you'll find on higher end models, but it does a solid job on what you probably need it for. It was easy to assemble and it worked right out of the box with no issues. I've run this same logo design on much more expensive machines, and honestly, the result here is just as clean. For the price, I'd say it's a good introduction to CNC machining and engraving. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or thoughts, drop a comment below and check out my other videos if you want to see more tools in action.